Anken Ma'at, Anken Ma'at. Greetings, greetings, greetings. I bid you peace and blessings. Please come forward. I'm looking forward to seeing you all. Anken Ma'at. And first, let me just go ahead and say Anken Ma'at to Miss Mena, who is here early. Anken Ma'at to you, who is Ida, a sacred woman who has been joining us for quite some time. Anken Ma'at to you. I'm so glad that you're here with us. Anken Ma'at to Martin Walker. You all already know what I'm going to ask you to do. Please go ahead and greet us, greet the entire family, the entire Abet with where you are in the world and how long you have been part of Kemetic Ascension. Please go ahead and do that. And I'm asking that so many of you who are I'm coming in a little bit late. I will explain why. Boy, was I in a wormhole for a second. I will explain. I promise. I will explain in a moment. Please join us. Join us. Join us. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. I'm looking forward to seeing you all. Looking forward to seeing you all. Please come in. Anken Ma'at, Anken Ma'at. I see DC Sinisi Neka, one of our full members, is there. Anken Ma'at to you, coming to us from Miami, Florida. Anken Ma'at to you. Anken Ma'at, one of our active members. Anken Ma'at to T. Coben 1, who has been part of Kemetic Ascension for a long time. Anken Ma'at to you. Anken Ma'at to Sen Curtis, one of our full active members, coming to us. I want to say you're in Painesville right now, right? You're in Painesville, Ohio? I don't think you're actually in Pennsylvania. Anken Ma'at to you. I'm glad that you're here, full member for 3 years now. Anken Ma'at to Ron Green, coming to us from Alton, Illinois, and Anken Ma'at to Ra, who is in Soho. Wow, Anken Ma'at to you. Did I know you were in Soho? That's not far from where we are. Anken Ma'at to you, Anken Ma'at. I'm so pleased that you are here. Yes, Painesville, Ohio. My Swiss cheese brain. I shouldn't say that. My brain is how I live, not just how I draw breath and how the ancestors allow me to navigate the physical plane, but everything I do is based on my memory. I mean, as a historian, you can imagine I am asking the ancestors to give me the ability to find their stories, to read their stories, to research their stories. And so making fun of the brain that the ancestors allow me to use is not a good idea. But definitely, it seems that there are sometimes I absolutely forget quite a few simple things. Anken Ma'at to Kevin Phillips. Anken Ma'at to you. Anken Ma'at to Heru Asar Ankh Amun Ra, one of our full members. Anken Ma'at coming to us from Dallas, Texas. Anken Ma'at to Gnostic Boo the Thinking. I love that name. You say you have some information that was recently revealed to you that you'd like to share with me. It relates to how we've been improperly using the word believe. Interesting. Please send me an email. I think that might be interesting, and I'd love to hear more about your findings, your research. Anken Ma'at to Abut Sashat, who is here. Abut, are you back in the United States? Anken Ma'at to you. I hope it's good to see that you're there and you're safe. Anken Ma'at, Anken Ma'at. I see Miss Mena is also from Flint. Wonderful. You know, so many of us who are not in the sort of the Michigan area, not anywhere near there, were really unaware of Flint and the fact that it is a black city. I mean, we heard about the challenges that it had with its water, and I think some of us might have even not understood one of the reasons why you had that issue occurred is because it is a black city with black representatives. And that state, in some ways, took away the ability for that city to do what it was supposed to do for its own residents. And so, definitely, it's not a city I've been to. I would love to come down to Flint and get a sense of how that community is doing. Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at to Tassetti, who is coming to us from Denver, Colorado, and been here for some time. Ankin Ma'at, Ankin Ma'at. Ankin Ma'at to Rich Duglin. Ankin Ma'at. And Miss Minna says, yes, you suppose it is. When I looked at the statistics, I want to say Flint was 60 or 65% black. That's just black. I'm not talking about Latinos or Asians or other people that are not the European descendants to Tom Who. I'm saying that it is a very, very interesting city in that regard. And I think that many of us who are not in the area did not know that. And so it's something that we definitely need to know. I do know that one of our priests definitely, Hemnetta Jamar, went to Flint during the crisis. And I want to say he came back and was like, man, I was not clear how many black people there were. And I think that really made an impact on him. If I remember the conversation we had when he returned, that was one of the things that obviously looking at the news, he saw black people struggling. And then when he got there, he was like, wait a minute, this is not just them talking to a few black people. It's like black people everywhere. That is probably the reason why that is happening. Ankin Ma'at, you're traveling to Ghana and Egypt with Hoppy and Professor Smalls. Ankin Ma'at, wonderful. I just spoke to our dear brother Taki last week. We had a long conversation. We caught up. I'm looking forward to hearing how that trip went. I'm glad that one of our family members will be there. So I want to know what that experience is like. I'm gearing up for returning to Kemet, returning to Ghana next year. You know that this has been a busy period, a challenging period in many ways, but definitely within the next, by next summer, I'll be taking trips there again myself. I know I'm probably going to go to Ghana. I'm going to Ghana in February, and I'm going with family instead of going with a large group. And so that's how things will be going. But definitely, if any of you in the family are interested in going to Ghana, let me know, because maybe you can still travel with me. Okay. I see. Oh, there are a bunch of other folks I did not mention here. Sinette Cortia is here. Ankin Ma'at to you, one of our active full members. Ankin Ma'at to Ra Camp L. Ankin Ma'at. I'm not sure if I know that name. Or is that just another name? And I should know who you are? Or is that Sinette Rael? No, it isn't. I'm trying to look at the picture. It's a very small picture on the StreamYard end. Ankin Ma'at to Sinette DeLuise. Let me say to you, Sinette DeLuise, I've gotten your text. I have been extremely busy. You can see I'm not even in priesthood clothing today. I'm still setting up my studio. I'm preparing for my upcoming nuptials. Some of you know what I'm talking about. I'm in the midst of a move. It is just extremely busy. So I'm asking that you forgive me for not wearing my priesthood whites for not just today, but our last Kemetic Ascension session. I've been moving around. But I will say to you, Sinette DeLuise, and I know that you are having your naming ceremony. First of all, I glanced at it this morning, but I knew that I wasn't going to be able to do very much with it. Do you want to be able to say something here about it? If you would, it would be wonderful if you did. If not, and it's still something in its flowering, that is fine. But definitely, as one of our full active members. If you'd like to say something to the family, you can please come forward and do that. And by the way, let me go ahead in case you do want to do that. Look at this. StreamYard is always changing. I looked down at the links and didn't recognize it for a quick second. That's good that things are improving and changing. And yes, Annette Corti, I know you are down in the ATL, holding ATL down. Ankin Ma'at to you. Yes, I'm handling it. It's been challenging, but I'm attempting to continue to move in balance, and that has not always been easy. I know that many of you have had challenges as well, so I get it. But you know, it ain't easy. So Ankin Ma'at to Yeshiria. There you go. You got notification here. You got the notification on Facebook and not on YouTube. Is that what you're saying? Ankin Ma'at to you. I'm glad you're there. Shrine family or Queen's family. Are you saying when I go to Ghana? I'm probably going with my family of origin. I believe my mother has not been to Ghana. I want to bring her to Ghana with me. I may be going with the Queen, who will by then be my mate. I'm going to be bringing a few people. It'll probably be a few of us. My younger sister, perhaps my older sister. We're going to go and just have a really great time. But definitely I'm going to do a full trip to Ghana in the summer as well. But I wouldn't even mention it here were not for the family, were not for the fact that the Shrine of Ma'at is definitely another family to me. And so if any of you wanted to come, you're not going to hear me mention this anywhere else. You'll probably hear about me mentioning my trip after I return, but I probably won't be allowing anyone to come with me who is not someone that I'm really close to, just because it's going to be a sort of a private trip rather than the public trips that we do. Heru Asar Ankh Amun-Ra, I constantly say you're a full member. You have been here forever, and I think I also confuse your name with another one of our members. I think you should be a member. We'll be talking about that soon. With all the things going on in my life, I have not been able to peel away the time to do initiation. Let's just be very honest about that. I'm hoping that I will be able to. It'll definitely happen before the end of the year, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to do that in the fall. So definitely that is real. And I just finished my summer class. I was teaching a new class at Hunter this summer. Listen, when you are a tenured professor, they give you time to create new classes. When you're an adjunct like myself, they say, teach a new class. So that was like drinking from a fire hose, preparing that course and doing it for 6 hours a week was really, really heady and very difficult. But it is now complete. My grading will be in this afternoon or this evening. So just make sure I have on clothes. Yes. Very true. Ajay Bryant, Ankin Ma'at to you, dear brother. It's good to know you are there, Ankin Ma'at. It's good to know that you are still there, always there, Ankin Ma'at, Ankin Ma'at. Let's see. There are a bunch of other Society Commentary is there. Ankin Ma'at always with us. Boots a shot. Adamayam 720 is Sen Curtis, who you certainly know. He's one of our full members. Ankin Ma'at to Ashaju Kum Orikaba. That's an incredible name. I'd love to know more about your name. Ankin Ma'at to Sen Gavin Kamisha. Ankin Ma'at to you. Sen Gavin, I owe you a phone call that I have been extremely busy. And so definitely I will definitely owe you a call and a visit. Ankin Ma'at to, you have been here forever. Ankin Ma'at to Asatu from Lagos, Nigeria. That is clearly the furthest away. Ankin Ma'at to you. There's Senaton checking in from Chicago, the Windy City. The Windy City is so much more secure that our dear brother, an active member of the shrine, a brother who has always been in Dallas whenever I've even spoken a syllable to him, is there. So it's good to see you're there. Definitely Senaton. Ankin Ma'at to, I think that's everything. Ankin Ma'at to send Jason, of course. Send Jason is here as well, who is a very active member coming to us from Lincoln, Nebraska. And I'm always honored that you all are here. Well, let me just go ahead and welcome you all to Kemetic Ascension. Once again, I beg your indulgence for not, I'm in my colors of the day. You can see, for those of you unfamiliar, on a Sunday, we would generally wear orange and white. And I certainly have lots of orange and lots of white in the shirt, even though the light in here is not really what I'd like it to be yet. I'm still setting up the studio. And let me also say that without you wearing my priesthood whites, I'm still trying to do the work. And so it's been a little busy, but good. It's been good, definitely. Let me say that I plan not to be here extremely long today because I have a lot to do, including with my mom, who will be back in a few moments. I do want to talk about purification, as you know, today, but definitely I wanted to allow some folks in. I actually was checking with Sinette Deloise about her name, and I see she's here, so I'm going to bring her in a moment. And I also see Sen Curtis is here, Pittsburgh Red. Perhaps he'll do the opening for us. I think that's what he might be setting up to do as he's in the background. And that would be amazing. So let me go ahead and bring in Sinette Deloise, and I see you there, Sen Curtis. I'll bring you in a moment. Sen Deloise, you don't have your camera on yet, but I'm going to still bring you in. Maybe you don't have to have your camera on, but I'd love to. You can see her full name there, Aset Sekmet Metu Ma'at. And I know that there are those of you who have decided to look for divine guidance, to speak to the ancestors in the Neteru, and to come forward with a new name describing your new journey. I know that Sinette Deloise and I talked about it for a while, even though I didn't give her all of the guidance I wish I would have been able to at the time. But definitely, I believe that she has come up with a name that is amazing. She has been on her own journey towards her name, which is amazing. So I just wanted to allow her to talk about that for a moment, if she could. Ankin Ma'at to you, Sinette Deloise.
Ankin Ma'at Ntepi, thank you so much. It was a beautiful day. It is a beautiful day. We completed the ceremony earlier this morning. And as you can see, my Kemetic name, and much love and respect to Abu Wazaret, who assisted me, along with my husband and divine partner, Nahisi Sakim, in developing my names. My first public name, which is the one on the screen, Aset Sekmet Metum Ma'at, which means wise, resilient warrior healer who lives and speaks in Ma'at. And my family name is Seshmu Karit Ma'at. It is she who has the spirit to guide those to strive for truth and righteousness. So both these names encompass where I'm on my journey, where I've been with my family, and how I'm growing and continuing to elevate. I give thanks to you for your guidance, and as our spiritual leader with the Shrine of Ma'at, most respect to you, Abu Wazaret, and all the Winwet. I really appreciate this opportunity, the assistance, the love and support in my growth. And I'm grateful also being a sacred woman in my walk in that journey. A few of my sisters participated as well. And I just give thanks.
Oh, wonderful. Nefer, Nefer, Nefer. I am so filled. I guess that's the proper word to use now, to see that you've had your journey and you found a way to describe what journey you're on. That is an amazing time when you do that.
Yes.
And as someone who has a few names, right?
Yes, yes,
Jabari Osaze ain't the name I was born with. Just some of you know I was born with two Jewish names, right? Corwin
yes,
Jacob. The process of taking a name that you'll be in the secular world with, and then a name that recognizes your spiritual journey and your growth is an important stage. And I want to just say dua to the Neteru and to the
yes,
ancestors for guiding you to it.
yes,
I want to say that I am so honored that you're sharing it with us. The ceremony was just today, so this is hot
yes.
off
Yeah,
the
and
presses.
yes, and I'm in the midst of changing. I was switching back. Should I stay off camera? But anyway, this is who I am, and I am divine. So, but I also want to give thanks to Himnetter Kepera. I hope I'm not saying his name wrong, but he assisted Abu Wazaret in helping me um, form and meditate and choose a name that was appropriate as well.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And it's wonderful that you were able to get to the point where you found a name that speaks to your journey. Once again, that's amazing. And as someone who has had several name changes that all have been relevant to me, I just have to say, some days you will be basking in the glory of your name. It will remind you of the walk you're on. And some days you're going to feel like you're a fraud. My goodness, why'd I give myself a name like that? And that's a
Yes,
good thing. It's a
yes,
good thing because your
yes,
name reminds you of what you're supposed to do. And we all get tired sometimes on the journey. So the name will keep you on the path. And so that is so important that you've done that.
exactly. As the great mother Queen Afua says, all the way up,
That's right.
all the way up.
All the way up. Just keep going. It's not always
Yes.
going to be easy. The road is not as straight as we'd like it to be, but all the way up. Just keep living in the heights and you will do what you need to do.
Ashe. I give thanks for you in this time
Wonderful.
and space and everyone in here.
Shemim Ma'at, I'm so pleased that
Shemimah.
you had your ceremony. Was it recorded?
It is, and I will be sending it to you.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Because when I finally take a breath, which will be in maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I would love to see how it actually shaped up.
Will do. Will do.
Okay, wonderful.
Peace,
Shemim
love,
Ma'at,
peace,
go well.
peace. Yes, peace, love, and
Give
blessings.
your dear mate a big brotherly hug for me as well. And we'll see
I
you
will
soon.
do.
All right.
We shall.
All right. See you soon. I also know that I see Sen Curtis is on. I see Sen Curtis is on. And I'm wondering. There he is. Okay, good. Because there's Sen Curtis. Sen Curtis, I'm always honored that you're here. I see you standing. Are you going to? I hope I'm not putting you on the spot. Are you going to lead us in the opening of the way?
Yes.
Never, never, never. I thought that's what you were preparing to do. And he anticipated that I was just about to start saying, folks, someone come forward and do the opening of the way. That is amazing. I'm glad that I didn't have to beg and plead, sounding like Keith Sweat in one of his great 90 R&B songs. I'm glad that you actually came in to lead us without me begging. Let us go ahead and do the opening of the way. Sen Curtis will lead us. And I have to, even before he goes, say dua for him, not only leading us, but also taking the initiative in doing so. Please, Sen Curtis, take it away.
Can everybody hear me?
I'm pretty sure they can because I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. All right, I'm facing the north and we're going to stand in our pose of adoration, left foot forward, right hand back, and we're going to start by taking our breath of life. Anetrak behet,
Anetrak and Bethet.
Anetrak hapi,
Anetrak Hapi.
Nuk hapi,
Nuk Hapi.
Kwau and Tur.
Twao and Tur.
Circuit,
Anetrak Circuit.
Nuk circuit,
Nuk Circuit.
Netrak epsanu,
Anetrak Kepsenuf.
Nuk Kepsenuf.
Nuk Kepsenuf.
Wu Inter.
Wow Winter.
Anetrak Ost.
Anetrak Ost.
Nuk Ost.
Nuk Ost.
Anetrak Omset.
Anetrak Omset.
Nuk Omset.
Nuk Omset.
Wu Inter.
Wow Winter.
Anetrak Neat.
Anetrak Neat.
Nuk Neat.
Nuk Neat.
Anetrak Dwamotef.
Anetrak Dwamutef.
Nuk Dwamotef.
Nuk Dwamutef.
Wu Inter.
Wow Winter.
Anetrak Newt.
Anetrak Newt.
Nuk Newt.
Nuk Newt.
Netrak Geb.
Anetrak Geb.
Nuk Geb.
Nuk Geb.
Wu Inter.
Wow Winter.
Anetrak Shoot.
Anetrak Shoe.
Shoot. 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 Nuke Shoot.
Nuk Shoe.
Anetrak Tefnut.
Anetrak Tefnut.
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 Nuke
Nuk Tefnut.
Wu Inter. Anetrak Paut Interu.
Out in Teru.
Nuke Paut Interu.
Out in Teru.
Anetrak Imbu Interu.
Draken Boo in Teru.
Nuke Imbu Interu.
In Teru.
Wu Inter. Wu Inter.
Dwa Winter. Dwa, dwa, dwa. Dwa to you for so ably leading us in the opening of the way. St. Curtis, you want to say a word or two about the opening of the way?
Simply that what it means to me every day is to get in synchrony and calibration and the right frequency with all our sacred and divine, seen and unseen deities and energies for life and creation. And yeah, I think that's about it.
That's excellent. There's nothing else that needs to be said. Ankin Ma'at, and Dwa once again for leading us. Dwa once again for coming in. It's always good to see you. I'll see you soon.
Yes.
Shemin Ma'at.
Shemamat.
Dwa. I'm so honored that we've had two initiates of the shrine come in and assist with our gathering. I have long said that Kemetic Ascension is too Jabari centric, too Hemneter, Jedin Ma'at Aten Ra centric. And so I'm so honored that you all have come in to join us today. Let me say right off the bat, first of all, let me say Ankin Ma'at to Hemneter Abu Jamar. Hemneter Jamar is out there. I just mentioned his name and here he comes. I'm glad he's there. Ankin Ma'at to you, probably holding it down in Strong Island. Ankin Ma'at to a Saju Kem Orikaba. Actually, I think I already said Ankin Ma'at to you, but Ankin Ma'at again. Ankin Ma'at to Kepler Holistic. Ankin Ma'at to you, connecting from South Africa. That is the furthest away today. Ankin Ma'at to you. Ankin Ma'at to Mac Tip. Ankin Ma'at to is it Robert Bunag, who is always here, coming to us from Daly City with his girlfriend from Los Altos. Ankin Ma'at to you. I'm so honored that you're here every Kemetic Ascension. Ankin Ma'at to Afromantic and to SC and to all of you who I have not mentioned. Please make sure that you know that if I have not mentioned you, chalk it up to my aging eyes and not to my ob. Ankin Ma'at to you all. I'm so honored that you have come in to be part of Kemetic Ascension. Well, I started the beginning saying that I'm still setting up the studio here. And as I was setting it up, I actually began to listen a little bit to some of the audio files that I have, because I'm moving things around. And the thing that's so interesting is I found a little audio clip of our shrine elder, Baba Heru, talking about the opening of talking about the Mesu Heru. Let's say that. Not as much about the opening of the way, but definitely talking to us about the Mesu Heru. And for those of you who do not know the Mesu Heru, the Mesu Heru, the sons of Heru, the offspring of Heru, that's the way that we refer to those individuals, those entities, let's say, that actually are bringing forth in many ways the energy, the presence of the divine force of Heru, who in many ways you should see as the continuing reality of the Kemetic, of the spiritual tradition. As his father is Asar, he is, I'm trying here to go full screen with this, and it's not, there we go. In many ways, we should look at Heru in that manner, right? As the ability for us to continue to stay in the heights while existing on the physical plane. And what I want to do is let you just hear this little bit that Baba says. It's always wonderful to hear his voice in our gatherings. I want you to just hear what he says about these divine guardians. I thought that it was amazing that I found this little audio clip. It's not even video, but hearing his voice is so important to me that I wanted you to hear it too. And so please let me share the screen. StreamYard, you changing things up on me. And as we begin, I'm hoping you'll let me know if you can hear the audio clearly as well. Take a listen.
As it is in heaven, Newt, so is it on earth, as above, so below. In our ancient tombs, the ancestors showed 4 main organs guarded by 4 masculine guardians, and those masculine guardians in turn guarded by 4 feminine guardians. According to our ancient ancestry, the female guardians were Nebuchadnezzar, guardian of the lungs, Serket, guardian of the digestive and reproductive organs, us, the Great Mother, and Nit, the guardian of the large intestine and the protector of the stomach.
I just love just that little clip. I'd like to share with just that little clip that has him talking about the female protectresses. It comes from and I have to say, this is what it was. It is a cassette tape. A cassette tape that Baba Heru and Queen Afua put out called The Indwelling Healer. I am absolutely lucky enough to be able to have a copy of it. It's old. I want to say The Indwelling Healer came out in the late 80s or early 90s, which to me doesn't sound that long ago, but that's because I'm old now. For some of you, that probably sounds like forever. But certainly this was put out, I think, right before, right before CDs were really catching on, before they became a very important thing. And on one of my first journeys to the Shrine of Ptah, as it was located in a beautiful storefront in Brooklyn, I had the opportunity to purchase a copy. And the copy you're hearing doesn't come from the copy I purchased. I lost that copy and was talking to Baba Heru about it many years ago. And he said, "Oh, I have an old version of it, but I want to have it digitized. Could you digitize it for me? I'll look for it." And I'm going to tell you that because I had lost it, I was excited to be able to do that for Baba Heru, and waited and kept saying, "Did you find it yet, Baba?" "Oh, no, I've been busy. I haven't had a chance to look for it yet." When he finally called me and told me that he had found it and had it, I was just excited. And so that is why I think you will enjoy hearing it, because just think about the fact that that piece was done such a long time ago. And to me, it truly also really assists us in understanding how Baba conceived of the divine protectresses. It was just amazing. Can I also say to you that you will not hear anyone else call them divine protectresses? Today, that is something that we use often, but that term is one that he and Queen Afua began using. You'll hear others say that now. That comes directly from Baba Heru's mind to call them divine protectresses. If you look at old text, even text where Budge is describing them, he'll talk about them as the goddesses and they seem to protect these male entities, but to call them divine protectresses, even that term is one that you would think sounds basic and simple, but you have to be very clear that it is not. That kind of terminology is not the terminology that those Europeans who were sort of putting the Kemetic language back together began to use. It took the wisdom and the guidance of the ancestors guiding their descendants, modern Africans, to begin to try to put some of those sounds, that thinking, that perspective back into the tradition. So it is really, really important for us to recognize the contributions that Baba Heru and Queen Afua made to the tradition. And so I love that dearly. I would love to play the entire thing, although I think that Queen Afua or Baba Heru might not want me to because it's their property. And so you'll get these small clips from me. The whole CD is it's a little over an hour. It has two sides, obviously, a little over an hour. And I used to actually listen to it on, I'm gonna date myself, right? On an old Walkman. A cassette Walkman is what I used to listen to it on. And I have no idea what happened to it. I have no idea how it disappeared, where it disappeared to. What I probably did is I probably was walking with someone and they said, "Oh my goodness, I wanted to hear their voices, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Here, listen to this, please give it back to me." And it never came back. That's probably what happened. I probably loaned it out and never got it back. And so it is very powerful for us to be able to hear them talk about our tradition, talk about how to be a high-level practitioner literally over 30 years ago. Because in many ways, what you are doing, beloved, and I'm talking to each of you that are listening to my voice today, what you are doing is you are continuing to do the work, you are continuing the mission of Baba Heru and Queen Afua to bring this tradition back into its excellence in the modern day. That is no small task, no tiny Lilliputian feat. It is important that you do this, and it's important that you recognize that bringing the tradition forward in power is important. It is important. Okay. So I really, really let us allow Baba's voice to be our Hesi today. I want you to think about the power of the tradition and how it has been a mainstay for hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands at least for decades now. And it continues to grow as people look to do as our ancient African ancestors have done. So, with that, what I want to do is talk to you about an important topic really quickly. Really quickly. I want to talk about an important topic. I wasn't looking at the chat. There are several things. Let's see. Comments that were being made. Do I still have a boombox? I do still have a boombox, Yashira. I don't even know if it still works. It's in a closet, but definitely I had to use something else to be able to digitize some of the things that that Baba wanted me to do. Sorry, nobody. Lady Ma'at Anika really gone. She's never gone. She's just not a functional part of the shrine, but she is part of the root of the shrine. She's a part of the origin of the shrine. So she is not gone, and she is still doing her work, just not within the confines of the shrine anymore. If you want to say that you miss her, send her an email, send her a text if you have her number. Go ahead and speak to her. That would be great as well. I'm seeing, let's see, she's definitely missed here. Absolutely. I miss her too. We are not on the same journey anymore, but certainly it should be said that I miss her as well. Let's see. Is he saying that Newt and Geb are feminine energy? No, I think Ankan Ma'at Teke Leah. Newt is feminine and Geb is masculine. Yes, they are complements. Thank you, Abut Sashat, for explaining. You'd have to go to Goodwill to find a player for a cassette today. I don't even know if they have them at Goodwill. They're very expensive now because they are not being made in the United States anymore. They're extremely expensive. If you have an old boombox that is still working, you should put it on eBay and get a few $100 for it. You're probably looking to put it in the trash, or like you said, Sakina Rob, give it to Goodwill. It is worth something now, just like VCRs, worth something now, right? You probably have a VCR that's cluttering up someplace in your house. If you're a person of a certain age like me and you want to get rid of it, but you better recognize there are other people who are looking for those devices now because there are no manufacturers that make them in the United States, and there are very few that make them around the world. So just recognize that it is something that you can certainly benefit from if you are looking to get rid of it. Duat. The Duat is the afterworld. I can speak more about it, but maybe we can do that later. Murabutsa Shot. Can we contact you and get her information? I'm quite sure she still looks at her Shrine of Ma'at email. It probably is forwarded to her. So if you just send an email to Ma'at at shrineofma'at.org, she'll probably get it as well. I think that that's a good way for you to send her an email. If the email is still active, she should still be able to get it. What was that? If you have a Taibo tape, give it to your favorite Abut. Abut Sashat, I still have a series of Taibo tapes. Those tapes kept us all in shape. Yep. I still have those Billy Blanks Taibo tapes. They're digital now. I have digital versions of them because there was a point where I was digitizing my entire collection. So remind me, and I'll shoot you something on online so you can get a copy of it. And it's still, I looked at it not too long ago. Remember, I was telling you as I'm setting up the studio here with all my books and everything, I actually took a look at one of those Taibo sessions. It was crazy. It was crazy. I was like, man, people should still be using this same thing because it really is a hard workout and probably really, really good. So anyway, let me talk a bit today about the topic that we should be talking about, and that is the importance of purification, I want you to start by looking at this beautiful image. Beautiful image. Take a look at that. I know that I think it is amazing. I would imagine that many of you probably think it's amazing as well. It is beautiful. Why is it beautiful? Because in this particular image, you are seeing the importance of purification rendered in the Kemetic tradition. It is important. It is important. Let me ask you if you know what you are looking at. Someone tell me, as you look at this image, tell me what you think you might be looking at. And with that, I also want you to tell me, where do you think this statue is? Tell me a bit about it if you can, because I want to know if you are familiar with what you are seeing. What is this? Tell me, what is it? Looks like a christening. Sinet Cortia, when you say a christening, what do you mean? Do you mean a purification, a sacred rite that includes water? If that is what she means, she is correct. See, I'm pleased that she actually used the wonderful term christening, because this tradition is not the practices in the Kemetic tradition long predate those from somewhere else. Sam Wheat says, still worshiping ancient Egypt after all this information today? The Book of the Dead and mummified pharaohs will not save you. You know, it's really interesting that you took the time to type that and demonstrate just how infantile your understanding is. Who is worshiping ancient Egypt? Our tradition comes from ancient Kemet. First of all, Egypt is a Greek term. Are you think that we're worshiping an ancient nation? By the way, you say the Book of the Dead. There is no Book of the Dead. You're talking about the Reyu Pertim Hurumger, and mummified pharaohs will not save you. Or do you think that we are looking for mummified former ancient rulers to save us? Maybe that's why you don't understand what we're doing, Sam Wheat. And so, you know, I really know that you are trolling, but it would be so much better if you had that perspective, if you reached out so we could have a conversation, because your comment, it really betrays your ignorance. And, you know, in many ways, ignorance is not a bad thing as long as you understand that there is information that you do not have, and you are genuine, and you are truly connected and committed to receiving the information that will draw you from ignorance to knowledge. But I know that that's probably not what you were trying to do. If you actually hear my words and any of that makes sense, just go ahead, reach out to me, and we can talk rather than you trying to troll. And I think that that is the most important thing for us to say. Sam Wheat, whoever you are, speaking from ignorance. I have a sense that you probably have already left because you thought that you were going to jump in and say something and leave. All you've done is reminded us that we must stay focused on the path of Ma'at, because there are some of us that are so lost that the rest of us must remain committed so that we can save the societies that we belong to, because some of us are really, really lost. So as you look at this, I want you to know, I don't think anyone answered me yet. Well, Sinet Cortia did. Taseti says, Heru, the falcon, and Jehuti. It is a purification of a priest of a priest purification of young man. Yeah, I guess you could look at it that way. Definitely, this is a bronze statue of Heru, the divine force, the force of divinity on the physical plane, the son of Asten and Asar, and Jehuti, the symbol of divine wisdom, providing purification to this man who has prostrated himself to the tradition, prostrated himself to the divine. It's a beautiful statue. And I was really, who was going to tell me where it was. This is actually at the Louvre in Paris, France. Beautiful, beautiful image. Beautiful image. I want us to think about why it is important for us to purify. And I want you to understand that we, in the ancient African traditions, have doing purification for such an extended period of time that I dare say that the practitioners of the African traditions were masters of this critical tenet of spirituality long before many others even had an inkling of how spirituality could assist you in doing the work that you must do, could assist you in dealing with the challenges, the decadence, the just, it seems to me like the deafening cacophony that the modern world provides us on a daily basis. It can seem that things are coming at you and you have very little ability to control or to influence them. The society that we live in can certainly leave us in a position where we feel disempowered. And so our important traditions help us understand how to remain centered, or as the Kemetic practitioner would say, how to remain balanced. When people say that you must get centered, in the Kemetic tradition, we would have said balanced, because balance is ma'at, is it not? So let's talk a little bit about the wisdom in balance today, the wisdom in purification today. I want us to recognize just how important this practice is. And I want you to take a look at how the Kemetic tradition describes purification. So today, for the word from the Sebayit, let's talk about the wisdom of sacred purification. By the way, I want you to know, for those of you who are kind of new, you should know that the term Sebayit is an ancient Kemetic one. It actually means wisdom literature. And so in the word from the Sebayit, what we try to do is we try to actually draw from the text. We try to draw from the text. So as you look here, you'll actually see this important spiritual practitioner being purified with divine life. You can see that the water on the left is being depicted as divine life. You see the ankhs cascading over him. You can even see that he is already in his, I would say, his ceremonial whites. He even has one of those, you see that thing that looks like a little mound on his head? What you're seeing is, this is something that our Kemetic ancestors did regularly. They would actually have sometimes beeswax or beef fat, and they would actually put herbs into that mixture, and it would sit on top of their head, and in the heat it would slowly moisturize, but also give you this beautiful, this wonderful effervescent scent. And you can also see at the front of that, this is probably a flower bulb. Can you see my mouse there? And so he is doing sacred purification. And around his neck, you can even see an Ab amulet. He is purifying his Ab. Ab is the Kemetic word for heart. Now, I have not found these Ab amulets that have been prepared to wear around someone's neck as a pendant, but I've always looked at them and thought of them as looking very similar to something that practitioners of spirituality in the West used after enslavement. Sometimes they'd be called hoodoo bags or juju bags, or they would be bags of herbs and items to assist one in their journey that would be placed by a spiritual practitioner, a non-Western spiritual practitioner, and then that person would wear it around their neck to assist them in their journey. I've always looked at those amulets and thought that this, in many ways, was some of the original thinking that went into that practice. And then, of course, you are seeing someone, an African American here, and I believe that picture comes from the Gullah Geechee Islands. Here is a practitioner doing a baptism, but look at their clothing. I'm sure they might have used the word baptism for it, but clearly they understand that they are also drawing from the African spiritual and cultural tradition. Look at the practitioner's clothing. And in the middle, what are you seeing? Look at this curious little vessel. What is that? What is it? Does anyone know? For those of you who have been part of Kemetic Ascension or are members of the shrine, you probably have seen me hold up a replica of this. What is that? Isn't it a curious little vessel? Well, as you look at it, you should recognize that you are seeing, yes, and Jason Holmes says it is a wab bowl. It is a bowl used for purification. And I think that it is so beautiful because it is practical, but it also in many ways talks to us about what these important practitioners were doing. As you look at it, I want you to recognize that it is in fact a bowl and that it is slightly tipping forward. And as it is tipping forward, if it was holding a liquid, as you might assume that it would, you'll notice that it would be spilling. And it also has little feet on it. So think about what this means. In many ways, this means that as it moves, it purifies. This is very important. This is very important. It is cleansing. It is cleansing. So this is something that I think you ought to be aware of. It is one of the oldest purification vessels that we can find. This is, and I think I saw, who was that said? The Taseti said it's from the Nakata period. It is very old. This is pre-dynastic, as historians would say. It's extremely old, and it comes to us from the time in Kemet before the kings existed. We can see the use of the language. It literally means to purify. But you can see that there are those practitioners that were purifying thousands of years ago. Thousands. So this is of critical importance. By the way, I'm seeing, I think Sam Weed is still there. He says, Ma'at leads to righteousness and truth. Ma'at means righteousness and truth. Can Ma'at cleanse a soul not to commit murder or steal from your brother? That is, in fact, exactly what it does. How can Ma'at change that homosexual? Dear Sam, this may not be a popular comment that I'm telling you, but I want you to understand that I don't think that Ma'at needs to change someone who is a quote-unquote homosexual. If that is who they are, let them be who they are. I know that's not a popular comment. But if that is who they are, let them be who they are. Changing homosexuals, look at the Christian church's track record of trying to change people who are homosexual. It is dismal. It leads to death. Suicide, I'm assuming that's on your side of the ledger. It's impossible to redeem a soul through Kemet. It'd be interesting for you to say that when you know so little about ancient Kemet. How would you know? I'm going to say that's the last I'm going to say to you here, but if you'd like to engage in a dialogue, send me an email. Let's engage in a dialogue. It can be public. I'm glad that at the very least you're trying to talk now as opposed to trying to troll. But let me say to you, if you want to talk, we can talk. And it seems to me like you think that there's only one way to assist someone. That the way you're speaking sounds very Christian to me. I could be wrong, but that's the way that Christians speak. Your tradition cannot assist people. In other words, the implications are only your tradition can. What is the track record of Christianity? What is the track record? There are billions of Christians around the world, and there is a track record to some degree of child molestation. Yes, I'm going to go there. A track record of killing and murder and annihilation. I'm not saying that's everyone that is in the Christian tradition, but if you want to actually say that one tradition is righteous, which is a ridiculous comment, by the way, in such a diverse world, then I think you ought to look at your track record before you come over here. I think that's what you ought to do. What is my email? You found my page. You found our gathering. You can find my email. I'm not going to spend any more time on you. If you just look for Jabari El-Saze, you will find lots of ways to contact me. I am very available. Very available. So go ahead and contact me and we can have a real conversation instead of you typing in a chat room and trying to disrupt. Okay, let's continue. Now, as we look at this bowl, I want you to remember I said to you that it is extremely old and it speaks to our language, right? The Kemetic language. Look at this ancient African language. You're going to see that this is called a Wab bowl, and Wab is even the name of a particular type of priest, a purification priest. Look at this small section of, he says, I'm out, shalom. So you're probably a Hebrew Israelite. Oh, Sam Wheat. Sam Wheat, I would love for you. Please, now I'm begging. Now I'm begging. Please contact me. Please contact me. I could block him, Sinet Cortia, but I sometimes it's not helpful. I want him to see that we can talk to them, right? We can talk to them. Please, if you'd like to talk, please talk to us. Talk to me. We'll have a conversation. Okay. So as you look at this small section of a Kemetic language dictionary, take a look. You can see that the first one is a noun. It's the name of a Wab priest. How do we know that's a priest? Look at the fact that the priest is doing our position of adoration while kneeling. We call this a kes. It's called a kes. By the way, for those of you who just think it looks interesting, I want you to try to do that regularly. This position is not easy, the kes. For you to kneel with your hands like it is very hard. It is something that we should all be practicing. And you can see that on his head spills purification. Are they seeing specifically that he is pouring out? Or is it coming from his head? Listen, you could go, I'm telling you, the image of the Wab priest to me is so powerful because he has the vessel by which he purifies on top of his head. Is there a greater commentary being made about what purification actually is? And then you go down to the next iteration of the glyphs, and you can actually see that there is a bowl with feet. I want you to understand the bowl has the phonetic value of wa, and the leg has the phonetic value of b. So literally that bowl with the feet is wab, to purify. Isn't it beautiful how the language has rendered itself in a manner that is so practical yet profound? That is a challenging thing to do, to be practical yet profound, to be eminently usable, but to provoke powerful pondering. Man, look at the alliteration. I didn't even mean to say that, but just think about how this image, this glyph, will allow you to think about what purification is. And then we see to be a wab priest, we see once again the pouring with the water next to it. There are many different descriptions of this when you look into the dictionary. Purification has been important in ancient Kemet for an extensive period of time. This bowl is believed to be to have been used somewhere between 3700 and 3500 BCE. That means that nearly 6,000 years ago, 6,000 years ago, we had priests that were doing purification. 6,000 years ago. This is powerful. This is powerful. And so I'm hoping that you will also think about what your ancestors were trying to communicate to you with regard to the importance of purification. Just think about how long 6,000 years ago is. There is no other truly practical description of a spiritual tradition that we can find at 6,000 years ago. And recognize that as you look at this wab vessel, you will see practitioners utilize this concept in ancient Kemet for the next 3,000 years. Sinet Cortia, you said, can you elaborate on the tilted shape of the bowl by chance? Yes. I want you to understand that when you see the bowl tipping forward, there's a commentary being made. Because if you have ever carried a vessel, a bowl, something filled with liquid, and you walk with it, you had better hold it upright or else it will spill. Well, this commentary being made by the very physical form of this great spiritual device is that it is intentionally spilling. It is intentionally spilling because it is that spilling that is purification. It is the spilling of this liquid. Let's believe it to be water for a moment. That is the purification. And this device purifies as it moves. It is both a commentary on the use of the liquid, but it's also a commentary of doing something very practical. Does that make sense? It is telling us to do something with it. And I have a replica of that vessel that I often use when I speak to groups of students and others. And that is important. So where is the vessel found? You know, I believe that it was found around, there's a modern city known as El Nakada. That's where we get the term Nakada period from. By the way, when you hear Nakada period, you should just understand right off the bat, without going into great detail, that there are two major periods that we will see that the Kemetic tradition is actually being utilized before the kings of Kemet. And we usually call it the pre-dynastic era. The pre-dynastic era. And Nakada is one of them. So when I say that this is from the Nakada period, understand that if we believe that and we should believe that Kemet was unified at around 3150 or around 32 BCE. If this vessel is from 37 or 3500 BCE. It is hundreds of years before the kings of Kemet. The practices of Kemet predate the dynastic kings, predate the Nesuts. That is what we should understand. Let's continue. Now let's look at what are sometimes called the pyramid texts. You will hear me call them the Merkuti or the Merkutu texts, because pyramid is not actually the proper term for those amazing monuments. But listen to how important purification is in the world's first spiritual texts. Listen to how important it is. This is before any of the other spiritual texts that you are aware of. Whatever spiritual text just came into your mind, before that. Long before that. Listen to what it says. This is Utterance 253. It says, cleansed is he who was cleansed in the field of rushes. Cleansed is Ra in the field of rushes. Cleansed is he who was cleansed in the field of rushes. Cleansed is this Unas who was in the field of rushes. I want you to recognize the field of rushes is a description of this marshy area next to the Hapi River, next to that river that we today call the Nile. And we are being told that the king or anyone who is invoking this divine force, the reason why it says Unas here is because this particular version was written for Unas, but essentially what our Kemetic ancestors would do is they would input the names of others in it. So you'll see this same utterance being used, for example, for Teti. And this is simply because it is the text is personalized. And if you're cleansing someone in the field of rushes, the area near the river, I'm sorry, are you not doing what this elder is doing for this young man? Is that not, that's not what I meant to pull up. Is that not what we are seeing? So we are being told that this is precisely what is happening. And y'all thought this was Christian. I'm telling you that these traditions long predate anything named Christ or Yeshua, long predate the text of the Old Testament in the Torah, the Pentateuch, long predate those. We're seeing that someone is being actually cleansed by the river. By the way, here is an image of the Merkut of Unas. It is in really bad condition because when the modern people came, they removed much of the limestone on the outside of these monuments and they were left in poor condition. But on the inside, you will see that every inch of the surfaces is carved with spiritual text. And so this is powerful. How about purification in that text that we know as the Reyu Pert Emheru Ger? And you're seeing that this particular judgment scene is one where an individual is making their way into the afterlife. By the way, we often think of the quote-unquote Book of the Dead. That's not a great name. We often think of the Reyu Pert Emheru Ger, that's a proper name for that text, the book of Coming Forth Today from Night, as belonging to a man named Ani. Well, this is actually Ani. Or if you read his name in the way that it seems to be written, Anui. And he has his wife Tutu with him. Often when we think of the image of the judgment scene and we see one brown-skinned man in there, that's not Ani. That's someone else's text. And I'd love for you to type in if you know who I'm referring to What is the judgment scene? Who is the judgment scene? Who does that belong to? Who does that belong to? This is of Ani, but who does that other one belong to? Let's continue. Let's talk a little bit about this ritual purification as it occurs in the Reyu Pertem Harungar. Let's read a little bit. By the way, you can see this is directly from the version that is translated by E.A. Wallace Budge. It has some weaknesses, but I like the fact that he gives you the glyphs, the transliteration, in other words, how he believes the words are spoken, and then the translation. So it is an invaluable version. And this one is from plate 32. If you're using that, you're probably looking at page 206. And by the way, Send Jason Holmes is correct. It is from Hunefer. Hunefer. Yes, and Herurasar Ankh Amun Ra is saying the same. It's on page 206 if you can see it there, by the way. Let's see. I saw a few other names. Ankh and Ma'at to folks I missed because I was not looking. Oh, Ankh and Ma'at to the Schaefers who are here. Ankh and Ma'at to you, that amazing couple that assisted us in creating the music that the Shrine of Ma'at put forward. Ankh and Ma'at to Send Charles and Sinet, Kenya. I believe they're still doing what they do on the continent, probably still in Kemet. Be safe and be prosperous as you were there performing and sharing your artistry there. I'm glad to see that you're here. Absolutely. I'm sure there are others that I missed coming in. Can I just say Ankh and Ma'at to you all? It would be a little difficult for me to go through all of these, but Ankh and Ma'at to you definitely. Okay, let's read. You can see here, I'm going to read the English. I'm not going to go through trying to read the transliteration or trying to read the glyphs. Let's read, because for the sake of time, that would take a long time. Let's read the English so you understand what is being said. And let me say to you, Budge's translation is not bad. There are some times that what he does is he removes some of the spiritual vocabulary, and that's not great. But at the very least, you can't say that his translation is wrong, right? And so for all of the other reasons I mentioned, getting a copy of his version is still helpful. Mine is sitting here. But take a look at what he says. He says, I have come, what he says, what is written here by for Anui. It says, I have come advancing to make a declaration of right and truth. Look at this. By the way, for those of you who are practitioners of the Kemetic tradition and are full members of the Shrine of Ma'at, this line, this is just a hint. This is just a hint. You should memorize that line. I'm not going to say anything else. There's some stuff I'm cooking up. We'll talk about that later. I have come advancing to make a declaration of right and truth, to place the balance upon its supports. Do you hear that? You are so imbued with Ma'at, so imbued with right and truth, that your job is to put the balance on its supports. That is a beautiful frame. Think about that. Man, question. I know you keep mentioning the Book of the Dead isn't a thing, but what about it in the Mummy movies? I'm saying that the translation, the Book of the Dead, is poor. They're referring to this very text I'm reading to, Robert. It is actually the Reyu Pert Emheru Emger. That's how the Kemetic people define it. And that translate, what it means is the book of coming forth today from night. That is what it means. So that's what I'm trying to say. I may not have been clear enough. I apologize. I'm hoping that you understand now. So the text is a real thing. They just giving it that name is terrible. And it should be read. And by the way, in the Mummy movies, it has nothing to do with the Kemetic tradition. They enjoy looking at all of the iconography and imagery that comes from Kemet, but they use it so poorly that it is actually for a practitioner or for someone who has studied African traditions, ancient African traditions. It's just insulting. It's just insulting. So anyway, keep reading. Okay, let's see. Sorry, nobody says this is an ushering in of the Kaaba into the Duat, not a judgment. That's a Romanian European concept. I don't know if I would agree with that. Sorry, nobody. When I say judgment, the reason why we say it's a judgment is because in order for your Ka and Ba to enter into the Duat, you have to actually, these divine entities have to say that you actually are eligible based on the things that you have done and the person that you have been. So that's the reason why I would say that's why everyone uses the term judgment. Can you say ushering? Sure, I don't have a problem with the term ushering, as long as you recognize that not everybody gets ushered, right? Not everybody gets in. It's based on how you have lived your life. So let's continue. Now listen, you're placing the balance upon its supports. By the way, there's a word for balance, and there's the word for the supports of the balance. Within the amaranthine bushes. We should talk about the amaranthine bushes. We'll do that at another date. Hail exalted upon his standard, Lord of the Atef crown. This is a reference to Asar, by the way. Asar wears the Atef crown. And you probably know, I mean, obviously, if you have been part of Kemetic Ascension, you've heard me mention the crown that is known as the Atef crown. I'm looking really quickly to see if I can find a quick image of it, just because it would be helpful, but I also don't want to spend a lot of time looking. The Atef crown is the crown that has the crown of Upper Kemet, the white bulbous crown, but it also has, let's see, the horns on the side. See if I can show it to you. Here's one image. Here's the Atef crown. Can you see it there? Can you see it there? I'm hoping that you're able to see it. How it actually has both the white crown on the inside, the two feathers of the two plumes of Ma'at on the outside, and the horns. This is called the Atef crown. It is the crown worn by Asar. So let's continue. So right off the belt of the right off the beginning, you know that they're referring to Asar, but not saying his name. They're saying halted upon his standard, Lord of the Atef crown, making his name as the Lord of winds. That's beautiful. Deliver me from thy messengers who make to happen dire deeds, who make to arise calamities. Wow. This is saying that with all of the challenges that can happen in the world, I'm asking you to assist me to get past those challenges, the calamities. That is powerful. By the way, messengers, he says aputat. Usually in the Shrana Patah, we would pronounce that apuat. Anyway, let's continue. Without covering their faces, because I have done right and truth. So all of those entities that can cause challenges, I'm saying to you, Asar, allow me to get past them. Why? Because I have done right and truth. And Sam Wheat says, how does this bring you to truth and righteousness? The very text has the term right and truth. The very text. Show it to me in yours. That's your challenge if you're still there. Show it to me in yours. By the way, your text is a new book compared to the one I'm reading. It's new. You the new Jack. We are following the elder tradition. Let's continue. O Lord of right and truth, I am pure. Here we go. Now, when we say pure, can you see that you see the Ab glyph? Do you see it? I am pure. My breast is washed. My chest, my breast is washed. My hinder parts. Let's continue. My hinder parts are cleansed. My interior in the pool of right and truth. Listen to this. My entire body, inside and out, is pure, has been cleansed. This is powerful. Without a member in me is lacking. Not a member of me is lacking. Not a portion of my body has not been purified. This is how precise and divine this purification is. That you're purifying both inside and out. You're not just washing your hands and going around funky. Your entire body has been purified. Purification is important. Let's continue. I have been purified in the southern pool. I've rested in Kemetic to the north of the field of the grasshoppers. Bathe the divine sailors in it. At the season of night, I will gratify the hearts of the Neteru. Listen to how powerful this is. Listen to how powerful that purification is. Here is part of your work. I would like a bunch of you, let's see if you come up with this, to actually do some research and tell me what is the reference to Kemetic to the north of the field of the grasshoppers. What are they referring to? Is it a physical place? Is it a philosophical place? Please, I want you to show it to me. At our next Kemetic Ascension, if you have the answer, come in and talk to us about it. Let's continue. This is purification from the Nubian king. I'm going to go to another text. How do we purify, cleanse at this time? I'm coming there. I'm coming there, Osatu. I want to show you purification in text first, and then we're going to go into purification, a practical purification, okay? Let's continue. Here goes, this is where baptism comes from. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. This concept of a spiritual purification was old before there was ever a baptism in the Christian tradition or a baptism in the Hebrew tradition. It was old. That's how powerful this is. So this is coming from the Nubian king that comes into Kemet to put it back in order. He has a stele that describes what they do when they come to Kemet. Kemet was in complete disorder, and he comes in to put it into order. And when he sends his soldiers into Kemet, he says, before they do any fighting, they have to purify themselves. Listen to what he says to his soldiers. It says, when you arrive at Waset, before Epet Isut, you will enter into the water. You will bathe in the river. You shall dress in fine linen. Unstring your bow. Loosen the arrow. Let not the chief boast as a mighty man. There is no strength to the mighty without him. He's talking in this instance without Amun. He maketh the weak-armed into the strong-armed, so that multitudes flee from the feeble. And one alone taketh 1,000 men. Sprinkle yourselves with the water of his altars. Sniff the ground before him. You should say to him, give us the way, that we may fight in the shadow of your sword. And as for the generation that you have sent out, when its attack occurs, multitudes flee before it. I want you to understand that we are talking about the power of purification in doing the work you must do, in fighting those things that seek to tear you down on a daily basis. Think about this for a second. He talks about going into Waset. By the way, Waset today is called Luxor. It comes from the term al-Uqsor. When the Arab people came into the area, they looked at it and it had all of these temples that were destroyed. They didn't know they were temples. They thought they were palaces. Uqsor means something like palace, a king's palace. So they said this is the place of the palaces, al-Uqsor. And that is where Luxor comes from. Luxor is also where the modern word luxury comes from, because the city is that beautiful that when we say something is luxurious, we're saying it's like Luxor. Now, that's the Arabic term. Before that, the Greeks had named this beautiful city Thebes. You may have heard of Thebes, or you might have heard someone talk about the Theban kings. They're talking about people from the city of Thebes. Let's go further. Before those two terms, the ancient term was Waset, which means the seat of dominion, the seat of power. This is a powerful city, and it was powerful for thousands of years. It is PA that says, go to that city and go to its chief temple, Ipet Isut. That's the temple that is unfortunately called Karnak today. Go to that temple and go into the waters and purify yourself. Unstring your bow, loosen your arrow, and let not the chief boast as a mighty man. Listen to this. Some people boast like the mighty men. I'm powerful. I'm this, I'm that. He says, without the divine, you will have no success. There is no strength to the mighty without Amun. That is powerful. He makes the weak armed into the strong armed, so that the multitudes flee from the feeble. Powerful. He says, sprinkle yourself with the water of the altars, purified water, and sniff the ground before him. What does that mean, to sniff the ground in front of the altar? If you are sniffing the ground, it means you are putting your face, your nose to the ground. This is prostration. This is what you see people in other spiritual traditions, including Islam, do. This is before Islam. This is at least 1,000 years before Islam. That's how powerful this is. Purification is not just doing something so that you smell nice and you look good. Yes, it does help you do that. But that's not just what it is. Purification allows you to go to spiritual battle. Don't you need to go to spiritual battle? Don't you need to go into battle in a world that seeks to destroy people of African descent? Don't you need to go to a battle in a place that tries to rend asunder Black families? Don't you need to go to battle in a place that has taken Black men as the active target of police aggression? Don't you need to go to battle in a place that seeks to tear womanhood and motherhood from people of African descent? Black women catching attacks from every quarter, including for some ignorant, unma'atical African men. Don't you need to go to battle? I know I need to go to battle on a regular. Don't you? Well, PA is saying to you, purification will help you in battle. That's what PA is saying to you. You may not be the strongest, but you're going to defeat the strongest. Listen, tomorrow's Monday. Monday is one of those days that, I mean, it must have been created so we can recognize Isfet. Ain't Monday one of those days when stuff just go wrong for no good darn reason? Don't you need to go to battle? Did you purify? Did you purify? This is what our Kemetic ancestors are telling us we must do. Take a look once again at the images of purification. On the left, you are seeing the purification from the temple of Kamambo. That temple is known as Nubd. I am going to talk more about Kamambo. I've talked about in Kemetic Ascension. It is worthy of our discussion again. We will. But here you are seeing, once again, very similar to that statue I showed you in the beginning, right? Very similar to the statue. Look at the statue again. You see Heru and Jehuti, right? That's a physical version of this. And this is that beautiful purification scene where you say Jehuti and you see Heru doing a divine purification. And if you look closely, you're going to see that there are ankhs. This is divine life pouring over him. And every other glyph is not an ankh, but a was. That's protection. Life and protection. Divine protection and divine life. That's what this person is receiving. And then on the right, you see that this is Amenhotep the First. Amenhotep the First. The child of that king and queen that defeated the Hyksos. That's who Amenhotep the First is. The child whose job must be to continue to rebuild Kemet after foreign people had taken advantage of her. That's what you are seeing. Spiritual purification is what we must do. If we seek to do those things that our ancestors ask for us to do, we must purify. Here goes another beautiful image of a king being purified. Look at these statues. This one in alabaster. You can't tell me that purification ain't important in Kemet. You can't. By the way, look at this divine lake. This is the divine lake at Epet Isut, that place that is misnomered today, the Temple of Karnak. This is the exact place where those Nubian soldiers that were going to actually put Kemet back into order. When it says to bathe in the waters, that lake right there is where they bathe. That very lake is where they bathe. This is also, if you look at it, you cannot not see that those Europeans that created the United States, that created what is sometimes called the wading pool in front of the Washington Monument, right in Washington, D.C., this is what they were trying to do. I thought this happened before pre-dynasty. I'm taking you from, listen, in the descriptions I've given you, sorry nobody, I've talked to you about how we see the Wab vessel in pre-dynastic era, and I've gone all the way up to the Nubian era. The temple of Epet Isut was built before the era that the Nubian soldiers came to bathe themselves in it. I'm saying to you that this was thousands of years in ancient Kemet. That purification in ancient Kemet, we have documented examples of the importance and the practice of purification for longer than the entire length of the Christian tradition. Longer than 2,000 years, we see that purification existed in Kemet. In fact, these Kemetic traditions were the most important traditions, the most recognized traditions, the most familiar traditions in the world for longer than Christianity has been in existence today. And this is not a pond, it's a sacred lake. It's made by humans. A pond kind of implies that it's a natural feature. This was actually created next to the temple known as Epet Isut, unfortunately known as the Temple of Karnak today, for purification. That's what this is. So let's continue. You should know that even when we look at science, not just what we know through our spiritual traditions, but that when we look at science, that there is a great importance to cleansing, right? Now, today we know this. Today we know you better get up and wash yourself, right? We know that. But I'm going to tell you, at the time when ancient Kemet was talking about the importance, both spiritual, practical, and health-wise, Many parts of the world did not understand this. That it would be thousands of years before we see it clearly iterated in Europe. Thousands. Today, we take it for granted that you got to go and wash yourself. Where did that concept come from? It came first from the African tradition. There's a wonderful book called Dirt. Dirt. I don't think I've brought it to the study yet. Dirt. And it talks about the problem, some of the problems of cleanliness in medieval Europe and how it led to death. It's called Dirt. Amazing. Anyway, look at this. This is an article from 2018, and it is titled "Physical and Mental Effects of Bathing: A Randomized Intervention Study." It continues. Showering is the most common form of bathing worldwide. Whole body immersion in warm water is common in Japan and exerts sufficient hyperthermic action to induce vasodilation and increase blood flow, supplying more oxygen nutrients to the periphery. Cross-sectional studies report better subjective health status with an immersion bathing habit. In other words, your showers are important, but one must actually sometimes bathe. Bathe. This is important. This is a scientific study, and it's not just bathing. Showering is important as well. Just cleaning yourself is important. We take it for granted today. Trust me, people did not always understand this. And one of the things that we don't often talk about, in fact, some people who have now actually eschewed entirely spiritual traditions, practical uses of psychology and emotional health, they've gotten to the point where they just think the whole thing is ridiculous. And there are even some people in the African descended community that don't get it anymore. But look at this. Here goes an article that describes the psychological importance of a shower. This is an article by Nancy K. Napier, PhD. The Power of a Shower, How to Soap Up and Find Ideas. She says, a lot of people say that they have aha moments in the shower, maybe after wrestling with some problem the night or day before, that the unseen mind at work, as researchers call it, that's the unseen mind at work, as you researchers call it. Even though it seems you're not thinking about something, your brain is working away, making connections all the while. I know one person who claims that 80% of the time he has been thinking about some problem. He gets one of those moments in the shower the next morning. Wow. Wouldn't it be nice to count on that? He's not alone. The rest of the article talks about how showering, how cleansing has us receive important thoughts. It allows us to conquer those challenges that we have. This is important. So I've kept you long, even though I said I wasn't going to. I want you to think about what you would put in a spiritual bath. This answers the question that one of you asked earlier. There are many things that you might put in a bath to help cleanse oneself. Look at this. Look at this. There are minerals that you can add to your bath. Sea salt, what a grounding mineral. Now we've learned that sea salt is so important that the sort of the mass-produced, commercially produced stuff that we were using to flavor our food is not as good as actually using sea salt, because it actually has more minerals. Well, it's good for your cleansing too. Sea salt is one great mineral. Baking soda, another great mineral. And even clay is good in using as a mineral. Although when I've taken clay baths, I found it takes a lot of cleaning afterwards. But it is still very important and grounding. You can also add essential oils. Lavender. Lavender is a calming, meditative item. In fact, I found that my mother, who sometimes struggles with insomnia, believes that when she sprays lavender on her pillow, it's night, night. She goes night, night. She still says today that she uses a lavender essential oil and it helps her sleep. Orange is a really good oil. It comes directly from the skin of the orange. The rind is where they get the orange essential oil. And you can purchase organic orange oil. Flowers or orange, you can use the fruit of the orange itself or other flowers. You immerse them in water. You might even actually, sometimes I've known that practitioners will put flowers in water and leave it for at least 24 to 40 hours, and then they use it to cleanse, and it helps as well. You can use jasmine. Is jasmine an amazing scent or not? Grapefruit, cleansing and also grounding. And mint, of course. These are all things that you can use. Mint and grapefruit, I find, really help open my pores when I use them in a spiritual bath as well. And then also, you can add so many herbs. Lemongrass. We don't use lemongrass as much in the United States. I know that when I'm in Kemet and when I'm in Ghana, I'm able to buy organic lemongrass. And I think that there should be more of it here. It's so much cheaper when I get it on the continent than when I get it here. I think that people have lemongrass tea sometimes and they enjoy it, but they don't often use it actually to cleanse themselves. And so I believe they ought to. It is amazing. Also, there's chamomile. We know that chamomile is relaxing. We drink it, but can you bathe in it? Of course you can. How about dandelion? Amazing. That every part of the dandelion, from the root to the leaf to the stem to the flower, has incredible medicinal properties. And I know that when I was a child, before I came into the path to higher consciousness, I thought dandelion were just the things on your grass that you wanted to get rid of, that you sprayed some toxic weed killer on to get rid of. Dandelion is of critical importance, and it is not a weed. It is a very important thing. In fact, I'm going to tell you that when I used to grow food on my roof, I attempted to grow dandelion. I would love to tell you that I did it successfully. I did not. But I had simply gone to the park and procured some dandelion that were going to be destroyed. And so what did I do with it? I tried to cultivate the seed and to grow. I was not successful, but certainly it's something that you might want to do. Definitely other flowers can be used as herbs. Pine. You know how that wonderful smell that we get from, for example, Christmas trees? By the way, you should know that the use of the Christmas tree as a symbol of resurrection, as a symbol of maintaining the vital energy of the earth during the darkest periods of the world, this is not a Christian thing. It's much, much older. And we can draw it all the way back to Kemet and beyond. How about needles, pine needles and cones? You can use those as well. By the way, I love just looking at the pine cones because you will see that there is divine mathematics in the placing of the cone itself. Amazing. Eucalyptus. We use eucalyptus now as sometimes some sort of lotion for pain. Using it in a bath is amazing, and it's so effervescent. That is amazing. Hops. I know that you know that hops are used in beer, but do you know that the ancient Kemetic people used it in bathing as well? Linden flowers. Go to your health food store and get your dried linden flower. Once again, mint, sage, stinging nettle, and rosemary. Rosemary is not just for bread, not just for food. You can use it in a bath. So I want you to think about all of the things that you might use in your spiritual bath so that you can prepare for the work you must do. We live in a challenging world. In a challenging world, it is of critical importance for you to prepare for the trials and tribulations you will face. And if one is the very entity that places the scales upon its supports, you should be prepared to do your purification. Without purification, you will not be able to combat all of those things that are seeking to tear us down. Family, we need you. We need you, we need you, we need you. It is of critical importance for you to do your work. What we will do next is we'll talk a little bit about smudging. It's another thing that is of critical importance. I'm not going to, just for the sense of, for the bit of time, I'm not going to talk as much about purification by fire, but this is another type of purification that we should consider, and we'll talk about that later as well. With that, I want to say the divine force in me greets the divine force in you. I'm so honored that you spent your time here for Kemetic Ascension, even though we've gone a little bit late, almost 2 hours. I want you to recognize that the work that we do is essential for us to do. And the only way that we're going to be the people we must be is to continue to prepare ourselves for the battle. There are lots of comments I did not respond to. Spring onion. Spring onion is, I usually eat it more than wash with it because onion has a very pungent aroma. But I certainly have even picked wild onion outside and eaten it as well. Nicholas Mike says, Mod Hotep, how often are we supposed to take spiritual baths? If you can take a spiritual bath every day, it would be amazing. But I believe that a spiritual bath at least once a week is powerful. If you do a spiritual bath on the same day of the week, it can truly assist you in doing what you need to do. So I want you to prepare for the work. Prepare for the work. And I'm also seeing, I'm sorry, I missed our Sanette Blissfully Evolving. She is there. I'm glad that she is there. Ankan Ma'at to you, one of our very, very active members. And I'm not sure if you were there earlier, but I would have definitely greeted you. Listen, Ankan Ma'at to all of you that I missed. Please recognize that I honor you. I honor your journey. I honor your path. And I will say to you as we leave, Amasuan Panter, Sauksuamit Ra and Panter, Autuaura Maketi Pahiruya Ra. Give yourself to the one most high. Keep yourself daily for the divine. And do it tomorrow just as we did it today. Twawunter. Twawunter. Thank you to the divine. We'll see you soon. And by the way, those of you who are full members, we will be meeting tomorrow night. I'll make sure that you have the link in our private Facebook page. See you soon. All right. Ankan Ma'at, Shem and Ma'at, go forth in divine balance. See you very soon.